When I come out of prison in Lewisham, my life's completely changed, yeah? Completely changed. Moved to Lewisham and then sort of just started running nearly every day. Big, heavy running. I was massive, yeah. I was really, really big, yeah, really muscular. And to go down the pub down the bottom of my road and to meet Eddie Richardson, you know, just, introduce myself to him. And I was quite shocked that that I didn't really know who he was at first. I knew who it was, but I didn't know how he would take me. You know what I mean? And and we was talking, and also another big guy turned up, uh, Bill Gardner, big scar down his face. Talked very rough, and then Terry Coombs come over to me, introduce yourself to me, Terry Sharp, Gypsy Tom, there was all in there, mate, you know. And it was so nice as a young man to be introduced to all these people, proper gangsters, you know what I mean? And to take me in and then talk about boxing to Eddie Richardson. And Eddie Richardson telling me to go to the Beckett and to meet Jimmy Tippet. I went to the Beckett and met Jim. I mean, Jimmy Tippet was the greatest person in my life at that time, you know what I mean? And it took me under his wing. I'm meeting people like Colombo. His name's Steve Richards, meeting him down there. Steve Richards, nice fella, mate. Fit. He was so fit, mate. He was just unbelievably fit. And then to meet Roy Shaw, that was people talk about Roy Shaw, Lenny McLean, but to meet Roy Shaw, he was a proper face, yeah. Boy, I've heard so much about him when I was in prison. Like he used to rip doors off, take doors off, and I used to take the locks off of the doors, prison doors, and take the locks off. So me and him had something like something to talk about. You know what I mean? And it was just nice to get the ring with Roy Shaw. To get knocked about by Roy Shaw. And later on, I was doing the same things to Roy, but at first he was knocking me about. He was nice. He was a nice fella. Lloyd Waltham, I mean, when I met Lloyd Waltham, he was with Steve Richards, Colombo, and they were sparring in the ring. And I said, can I have a few rounds? And Lloyd Waltham gave me a concussion. And I'll never forget that day. I'll never, ever forget that day. I didn't know where I was, mate. It was like I'd never been hit so hard in my life. Lloyd Waltham, yeah. And then back down to Beckett, meet Les Stevens. Les Stevens, a traveller, gypsy, whatever they call him. Very, very hard man, mate. I mean, he was Les. I really like Les, and he was a good fighter, mate. And he was very fast. Another guy that was very articulate, and the way he talked, he was quite nice. Wasn't a bully, and he was just good at what he did, and he was a good fighter. And I just done a few rounds of him. I've done a few rounds of him before that, and then anyway. But it's good people, mate. And met Johnny Frankham. It's nice to meet all them people, in your life, yeah. And I met loads of fighters down there, good fighters. A lot of unlicensed fighters down there that I met, loads and loads. And then, with Jim, and I went to meet a guy called Gypsy Tom, which I always see Gypsy Tom down the pub down the bottom of my road, but I got introduced to Gypsy Tom through Jim, and it was nice. And then we flew around, met Terry Coombs. I always seen all these people, but to get introduced to them again, and then I'm involved in the fighting. Everybody loves a fighter, and and I loved it, mate. I just loved it. And then I went down Lehigh Street with Jimmy, and there was a pub. I think it was called the Red Lion. Walked in that pub and met this guy behind the bar, and he sponsored me. He's been to see me training, and he sponsored me. And I thought myself, what a nice guy. Do you know what I mean? Sponsored me, giving me dressing gowns, boots, and everything. Yeah, just really, really nice. But I was a bit good. You know what I mean? I was good at what the fighting game. The unlicensed fighting game was really, really good, yeah. And other people that I met, I mean, to meet Terry Sharp. I like Terry. I like Terry Sharp, mate. Yeah, a nice fight. He used to fight Terry Sharp as well, and his boy. Good. Paul Fitzgerald, Mickey May. Wow, all them, like proper fighters. Um, I mean, some of the people. I mean, like when I used to go down to Harvey Social Club and fight down there, and like I loved it. I loved the Harvey Social Club going in there fighting, and I loved fighting for Eddie when we used to fight in Cat's Whiskers Streatham. Yeah, that was a bit in the mark. Cat's Whiskers Streatham. That's where I met Sid Paddock and Kevin Paddock. That's where I met. That's where I fought Kevin Paddock. Kevin said no, I didn't. He said no, you fought my brother Sid at the Cat Whiskers Streatham. He said you fought me in Guildford, right? Somewhere in Guildford, and I can't remember. You know what I mean? Because two brothers, but both them brothers I drew with, yeah, and they were good fighters, mate. They were good fighters. Kevin beat Lenny. He bashed Lenny up, didn't he? Really, really bad, Kevin Finnegan. I could be Kevin Finnegan. Fucking else. Paddock, yeah? Kevin Paddock. I have to go down and see Kevin. He's still around. I keep saying, I've been saying it now for 2 or 3 years to pop down and see him, but I've got to do that. To put everything straight about me as a fighter. But he was a hard man, mate. Kevin Paddock, Sid Paddock, really, really hard people. I've just. It's nice. It's nice to be nice, yeah. And they was all nice to me. There was no nastiness in it. There was, when Jimmy took me down to to the Rainbow, and I fought Brian Hall. Everybody in the dressing room was nice. Like Cliff Fields, Brian Hall, Columbo. All that lot was nice, especially Cliff Fields. I like Cliff. Cliff weren't flash, just nice, yeah, really nice. There was no narsing about him at all. He was just a guy, very slow, but you could see he was a proper fighter, yeah. And yeah, I got introduced to him, and so later on in my life, I started working with him, yeah, working with him and Jimmy Tippet. But Jimmy, through Jimmy, that I met everybody, but one person that I met with Jimmy that I've got to see, yeah, I've got to see him. I've got to talk to him. Maybe he might just F me off, you know what I mean? Brian Cox. Brian Cox, mate. When I met Brian Cox, he wasn't the man he is now. He wasn't a big man like he is now. He was quite slim. I think he had a car accident in his leg, done his leg in. He was an actor. He had all that lot I'm talking about now. They all had equity cards. Every one of them. It was one of them things. They all had Davey Old, Johnny Old. They all had every one of them equity cards, yeah. And they all told me to get involved with the equity. But Brian Cox, it's just nice, man. Brian Cox gave me the record Call for Cats to come down when I'm fighting. Call for Cats records, yeah. He was the one who gave me that record. Brian Cox, mate, a really nice geezer. And Brian Cox stood bail for me, yeah, at court. And, it was nice for them to meet me outside Brixton Prison, Brian Cox and Jimmy Tippet, yeah. Crazy, isn't it? You go back all them years. And I look now at Brian Cox, and I think to myself, because he's not really into gangsterism, Brian. He doesn't really like gangsterism. He thinks gangsterism are a bit false, but yet he was involved with gangsterism. He was like, when I met him, he was well involved with it. He was in that company, yeah, and he was just a nice guy. Anybody that stands bail for you, doesn't really know you, is proper. You know what I mean? But I'd love to see him. I really would love to meet him. Harry Starbuck, mate. Wow, Harry Starbuck, eh? I mean, I really, really liked Harry Starbuck, mate, and he was a proper a proper hard man. It's strange, really, that when Jimmy took me down to see Harry Starbuck, and he was, the geezer was you could see that he was a force, yeah. He was a force. You could see this guy could really have it. You know what I mean? He weren't no idiot, yeah. And he didn't employ bouncers to look after his pubs. He looked after his pubs himself, yeah. And when Roy Shaw beat him, I was a bit surprised, really, in a way. And Roy Shaw beat him easy as well. But Harry Starbuck, I really liked Harry, mate. Nice guy. And that was funny. The funniest was when we was down Harvey Social Club, and Harry Starbuck was supposed to meet Lenny McLean, and he never showed up, Lenny. Lenny never showed up to meet him at Harvey Social Club. And I went down there. It's all in my book, You should get my book. Everyone's got to get my book, mate, because I'm going through things quickly now, but there's a lot more stories involved. The book's just... When I read it, I'm not a very good reader, yeah? It's took me fucking days and days and days to read about 4 or 5 pages, because I said I'm very dyslexic and I get bored with reading. I'm okay doing my YouTube podcasts or my videos. I'm all right, but actually reading is terrible. And now I've got to do an audible book. That's going to be good. I don't mind. I mean, that's going to be fantastic to do that. I can't wait for that book, yeah, when it comes out. But Jimmy, Harry Starbuck, just like, and when Harry Starbuck was down Harvey's to meet Lenny, to fight Lenny, and I was down there as a compere, really. It's all been said before. But, and then Lenny never showed up. And Harry was all cooled up to fight. And Eddie Richardson said to Harry Starbuck, and Terry Coombs was with Harry, and Terry Coombs and Terry Sharp, and it was gutted that Lenny never showed up. And then Harry Starbuck said, "Look, I want to fight," And then this big black guy come in, and he was massive, mate. And they said, well, and Harry went, no, I don't fancy it now. So they give it to me, you know what I mean? But not saying I'm nothing special, but I just bashed him up. The guy was a bit near the mark, but I've just bashed him up. The black guy, I bashed him up and jumped in and bit his earlobe off, and spat it out. You know what I mean? And everybody's jumping in the ring saying, "You're the governor." And this, that, and the other. You're a governor. Then we claim that nothing. You're the governor. And it was nice. It was nice, you know what I mean? Because don't forget, it's all because I went to Lewisham, and it's all because I met Jimmy Tippet. All this is because I met Jimmy Tippet. I mean, there's so many stories about me and Jim, what we done together with Cliff Fields, what we done together with Johnny Critterton, and Eddie Richardson. I mean, the greatest 2 people that I met, even though Billy Haywood and Harry Haywood don't get on with the Richardsons, because of what they had, with that big thing, the big, I forget the name of it now, when they had the shoot up in the pub and all that. I know Eddie don't get on with Harry and don't get on with Bill, Charlie and all that. But when I met Harry Haywood and Billy Haywood, it was like just nice people, you know what I mean? Just nice people. And then I met Bill later. In Maidstone Prison. Just crazy, isn't it? But Bill, proper gangster, mate. Billy Haywood, proper gangster. Harry, same. They used to sell lots of drink. They got involved with a big cab thing, didn't they? They had a big cab war. The war was on the cab firm. And then they had the club around the corner called Cheeks. And I worked there for a bit of time. I didn't work there actually, but he wanted me to work there. I showed my face a couple of times. That's where I met Dave Courtney First time I met Dave Courtney in a purple fur coat, and I thought he was a raving puff. Mind you, I wasn't that wrong, was I? You know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, that's how I met Dave Courtney down there. He was with a big black guy, massive black guy. You know, he got out of a Rolls Royce. Harvey, what's he call it? Dave Courtney with this black guy. Yeah, mate. And he walked in, and that's sort of where it all starts. You know, like when he took liberties, when he had the cap at the back of the club. Harry chucked him out, didn't he? Because he was taking the piss, Dave Courtney. And I don't know about that. Dave knew not to take the piss out of Harry Starbuck or Bill, because they had got well obliged. You know what I mean? Because Billy Haywood and Harry Haywood were proper nasty people. If you upset them, yeah, they knew so many people. They was well respected by lots of people. Even though they had wars with Eddie Richardson and Charlie and Eddie's little firm, you know, you got to remember that Eddie had some dangerous people around him. Do you know what I mean? So did Billy and Harry Hayward. But I liked them, man. When they had that pub, I think the pub was called the Harp and Heron. And then that ring. I mean, he had the I don't want to keep going on all day with this. Listen, let's bang it off here, and I'll do another one later. I met other people with Jimmy Tippet. You know. Anyway, bang bang roll, nice one.